CSIS 2470 is filmed before a live studio audience.
Howdy, gang. Here we are. We're ready to talk about the to-do list. You like my AI-generated image there? The do list. So let's take a look at this thing. First, let's talk about some of the skills we're going to be testing here. Whenever we're building a web project, especially an app like this, obviously HTML, CSS, JavaScript, that's a part of every website. But it's pretty common to also be doing CSS manipulation with JavaScript. And it's definitely common that we're going to be doing DOM injection. That just comes along for the ride because that's why we use JavaScript, right? And then also we're going to be using some CSS animation. Now this animation isn't there just to be all fluffy. It actually has a purpose. We'll talk about that specifically in a minute. You're going to be doing some event handling stuff, timers, local storage, of course, now that you know what that's all about. And then we'll be using arrays and object literals and just general problem solving skills. So as usual, the first few bullet points are all about just setting the project up, right? Number 1 is about your folder structure. Number 2 is about your index file. And number 3 is just talking about where to put your images. Number 4 is about your user experience. Now, your job is to make it look good and be pleasant to not only see, but to interact with, right? Those are two separate things. Because the site can be gorgeous, but the user can't do anything because nothing makes sense and it's not intuitive and it's hard to understand. Or the other way around, the site can be very easy to understand, but it's just ugly. Well, we want both. We want it to look great and to function intuitively. My site, however, is ugly. Yours doesn't get to be ugly, but mine does, because I don't want to lead you down a path, right, where you look at mine and go, oh, that looks amazing, I'm going to do it like Jeff's, right? I don't want that to happen. I'm not claiming that it'll be the most amazing thing in the world, but I'm just saying I don't want you to try to make yours look like mine. So mine is purposely not very styled at all. The only style that's there is just for some functionality. And the other half of user experience where things are good and easy to interact with, those are in place, and I will demo those for you. All right, and then of course, bullet point number 5, that's where the meat of all this is right here. And that's all about the app and how it works and everything, which we're going to see that in the demo in just a moment. And then of course, with all of our assignments, this must be done using regular div tags, not the canvas tag, which now you know what that is, right? Probably some of the early assignments are like, what's this canvas tag he keeps talking about? There's only one assignment where you're supposed to use that. All right, and then don't use prompts or alerts as usual. We're not allowed to use those in this class. I might use them just as brief demos during some of the lectures, but as far as our apps go, that's just tacky and gross. We don't want that in our code. And then of course, last we have the advanced content, which we'll see when we demo it. And ignore that video there because by the time you get to this, it'll be a different video. It'll be the one I'm recording right now. That was just a placeholder. All right, so let's take a look at the demo here. Now you can see this is very plain on the left half. I've got the local storage open on the right, just so we can follow what's happening there. But I want to start off by showing you a couple of things here that are good user experience, even though the site's ugly, right? First of all, notice my button and the input fields. They are not squishy, as in not enough padding. They have decent padding. They're all the same height. They're lined up nicely and they look good together. And by looking good together, I mean structurally. I'm not saying those are good colors, but I'm saying the layout is good, right? That's thing number 1. Thing number 2, when I refresh the page, whenever you load the page, automatically, watch what happens to this right here. Automatically, it's highlighted ready for me to start typing. That's not what happens naturally in your websites. You have to do that, and there's a couple of places to do that. One place is in your HTML, and there's other times, though, after a task occurs that doesn't happen, so you have to do something in your JavaScript to make it happen. I'm going to let you look that up, okay? But that adds to the user experience. This is all built into my code, and I'll demo it to you in just a minute here. The next thing, though, I want to point out is the reason that's important is the following. I've done 2 things here. So in addition to having it automatically be ready to type, once the user types, they don't even have to click on the add button. They just have to hit enter, all right? And I'll give you a hint on how that works, and I'll tell you why that's important in a minute. But the hint is don't make that a button. Make it an input type equals submit, because when you make it a button, it won't happen automatically where they can just type into this field and hit enter. If it's a button, you have to actually click on it or you have to tab over to it, and then you can hit enter. But if you use an input where type is submit, as part of your web form, then typing in the input field and hitting enter automatically enters the data. All right, I'm going to randomly just type some garbage here for just a second to show you the user experience. Don't worry too much about the flow of the program yet because I'm going to back up and delete everything and then show you more details, right? But I want to show you if this did not automatically click here when you're using the app. So we load the page and it's not there. The first thing you have to do is click here. Then you can type something and then you have to click add if you didn't set it up to where they can just hit enter. Okay, that's not horrible, but then you do it. And now if it didn't automatically stay in the input field right there, I'd have to come back here, click it again, type, click add, come back here, click it again, type, click add, right? And that is not a great user experience. However, the way I've got it set here, type, enter, type, enter, type, enter. Very fast and efficient. It's a much better user experience. Okay. All right. I'm going to clear out the local storage here. Local storage dot clear. All right. And then we will come back to this page here and refresh it. And it's all gone. So those are a couple of user experience things I wanted to point out before we actually walk through the functionality here. Thing number one, the fields look nice together structurally. Again, I'm not claiming that they're the best color or the best font choices or any of that, but just structurally they look good together. Thing number two, after every operation, before any operation, right? When I load the form, after I do any kind of operation, my cursor stays in that input box. Thing number three, when I hit enter, it automatically enters the data. I don't have to click on anything. It's just much more efficient for the user. All right, now let's actually enter some tasks and let's talk about what happens in local storage. Again, you can see over there on the right, there's nothing there in this file section, right? That's where the storage stuff would be. And so first task, feed the dog. And by the way, I hit tab to get there, and that just happens naturally with the way HTML forms work. So we're going to go down to high priority. And on this case, when you're in a drop-down box, I can't just hit enter because it'll just drop the box down. So in that case, you do have to hit tab to hit add, or they have to click it. That's the only time where that's the case. But if they have the priority they want already selected in the drop-down, they don't have to do anything but just hit enter after they type. So we'll see that in a second. So I've added one high priority thing by clicking add right there. And we'll talk about the animation in just a second, but let's do another high priority thing, which is listen. Notice I didn't have to click here. I just start typing, listen to Megadeth. And I just have to hit enter, and I just did, and then it added to the list. All right, I'm going to add one more high priority thing here, and I want you to watch the little green message there. So listen to Metallica. I'm going to hit enter, and that animated in, and then it disappeared after a couple of seconds. So that's user experience nice thing number 4, I think we're on, which is this. I mentioned earlier that the animation isn't there just to be fluffy. It's there for a purpose. If the text just appeared there or popped up there with no animation to draw the user in, then it wouldn't be as noticeable necessarily, but it draws their eye there and it gets them to go, oh, let me see, there's something going on there. And now they kind of know they're supposed to look there from now on. And then animating it out, it just looks better than it just disappearing. It's kind of jarring. User experience thing number 5. Notice that there's already a space there between the task list and the form. So when the message appears, it doesn't shift the to-do list down, because again, that's jarring. Now, if you want to animate it where the list moves up and down smoothly or something, fine. That's a little bit better, but I think it's better just to have the space ready and things animate in and out without stuff around the page that should be more stationary without that stuff moving around. Okay, let's do some other priority tasks here. Feed the cat. That's definitely a low priority because cats are evil. All right, item added, it animated in, and then it animated out. In fact, my eye went right to the item added, even though I wasn't trying to look there, and I didn't even notice the feed the cat appear on the list, right? Because I was so focused on that thing popping up, which is good because it makes me read it and it makes me know that something happened. All right, and then we're going to say listen to ABBA. And again, I don't have to, I tabbed over by accident, but I don't need to do that. I just have to hit enter and it added it. And now we have listen to ABBA and we'll say eat some tacos. That is medium priority and item added. That's all we're going to add to the list now. Before we look at the local storage, just real quick, the other part of this high priority, low priority system, that's all coming from the advanced content, and it outlines it there. It tells you there are 3 priorities, low, medium, and high, and that each priority has its own color. I chose red, yellow, and orange for high, low, and medium. You can pick whatever colors you want that make sense to you and that it seems to make some sense to the user, right? Okay, before we add and delete stuff here, take a look over here in local storage. I use the key name of tasks here to store the data, and you can see it's an array that has all of this stuff in it. And you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a total of 6 items. And you can also see that these appear to be objects. And they are, kind of. All right, so I want to give you some clarity on that. And this will actually help you in your code to understand this better. So let's back up to the Ajax lecture, right? You may recall in there that when you get data from another site, it comes in a string that looks like an object. And then you had to use the JSON parse function to turn it into an actual object. There's also a function that reverses that. It's JSON.stringify, where you pass it an object and it turns it into a string, and the string looks just like the string you got from the API call when you were doing your Ajax, right? It looks like a string that looks like an object. So you can take a string that looks like an object literal, and turn it into an actual object, and you can take an actual object and turn it into a string that looks like an object. When you make each new item in your list, you'll want each one to be an object literal, and then you want to stringify it and then push it on the tasks array, which is the local storage array that you're creating, right? Now, even though it looks like they're actually objects here that I can expand and look at here, this is actually parsing it for you. They're actually stored as strings, and you can see the value here, but when I click on it, it gives me what looks like objects, right? And looking here, this may give you some hints on how to do it, right? And so you can see the keys. There's an ID, there's a text, which is the note itself, feed the dog. There's a done, which is false or true, which none of those are going to be true at the moment. And then there's a priority, which is high or low or medium. That's all the data that you need about each object, right? All right, so let's click on one. Let's say we listened to Megadeth today, so I'm going to check that off. And item marked as done, that animated in and out. And notice it moved it to the bottom of the list. And it's a different color from the priorities, and the checkbox is gone, right? You can also see, if we look back over here at the object, it changed it, the done property, to true, all right? And let's go ahead and we will say we also fed the dog and we ate some tacos. Item marked as done each time, that animated in. Now at the bottom here, these are all the things that are done. And if I want to, I can remove each one of these things, right? So I'm going to click here to remove this. Instead of having this done stuff pile up, I'm going to remove it right here. And you'll notice that the list over here changed. It removed that thing from the array, okay? Also notice you can delete these items without checking them off if you want to. So we're going to delete feeding the cat here. It removed it from the array over here, from the tasks array. And now I have 4 things left here. And our final task is going to be have world peace, right? I guess that's high priority. All right. Even though having world peace and Metallica are both high priority, maybe we should argue that we could put world peace above listen to Metallica. So I can drag it right here. And notice when I hover over it, I'm not clicking anything, I'm just hovering. Those things have a little hand there, right? That's a cursor option you can change. Notice these 2 that are finished do not have a hand. This is the other item from your advanced content section. One of them was this priority thing with the colors and choosing an option here. And then the other one is this ability to drag the non-checked off things around on your list. So these don't have a hand, these do. That tells me it's draggable. I pick it up and you can see there's a plus sign when I'm on top of ABBA, but if I kind of go between them, it's not there. If I'm on top of ABBA, what it'll do is replace ABBA with world peace. So it moved ABBA down below there, right? So you want to drag this on top of the position you want it to be in, right? That's a little hint on how this works, okay? And then I want to move world peace above Metallica, but I can't just put it above there. If I go above it, it won't let me drop it. But if I drop it right on top of Metallica, that'll push Metallica down. It'll basically replace Metallica as the top of the list. So I let go there, now it says have world peace at the top. Okay, I'm going to delete that. Item deleted, item deleted. I'm going to say that we listened to Metallica. Item marked as done, and we're going to delete it. We created world peace, so I can delete that. And I decided to not listen to ABBA ever. And I'm going to click the X there, and it's gone. Now notice my local storage isn't technically cleared out. We just emptied out the array that we're storing there, right? If I add a new thing here, eat more tacos, you can see it added it right back to the local storage there. That's the whole thing. Sorry, this demo is a little bit longer than some of the other demos. And the main reason is I want to take a minute to give you some pointers and tips on how to make the user experience a little bit better. Again, I'm not claiming this looks good, but I'm claiming the user experience is good. So take some of the tips from this, make yours look good also. And notice, especially when I close out the console here, it's just centered in the middle of the page. I'm just going to hit a bunch of things here. It's just a task list right in the middle of the page, which doesn't look that great, right? So make yours look better, but make it have good user experience, both from a visual perspective and from a functionality perspective. That's it, folks. Good luck on the project, and most importantly, have fun.